Hi guys, I'm running a little late. I said 7 o'clock, it's 7:04. I needed a shower so bad when I came home from the workshop. So I'm going to be doing this live paint with wet hair. Not my best look, but it'll do. I know y'all don't come here for this. So I'm going to get this set up. I still got a couple more things to do. Get out your Hey Boo. Get some scissors. You're going to need some scissors this time. But yeah, let's go ahead and unpack everything. Get ready. Give me a couple minutes. I'll get there. Whoops. Here we go. That didn't work. Let's turn it around. There we go. And we got us some light. So go ahead and unpack your Hey Boo stuff. Get all your paint. All your paint's gonna be in the little packets there. I just got a couple more things to hook up and we can get started. All right, so I got a couple of people joining us. Just to let you know, sorry I'm late. Still pulling a few last minute things together here. So go ahead and unpack your kit. Grab some scissors. You're gonna need scissors. Just towards the end for the ribbon. All right. We're getting a fabulous view of my shoulder here. Let me mute this. Here we go. This way I can kind of see what you can see, so that way I make sure you can see everything well. All right, I think we might relocate a little bit here. I think that's gonna be good. All right, so when you join, say hello. Let me know you are hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to grab a drink. A little glass of ice water would probably be nice. Y'all grab one too. Whatever you want to drink. And if you need another little something to drink, like I do, feel free to grab yourself a glass of whatever you want tonight and join me. Cheers. All right. So I think we are good to go. Better late than never, right? Hey, Leanne. Hey, Janet. Oh, cool. So that multi-generational, Leanne. This is great. Okay, so you've got your Hey Boo. You will notice that the back of it was painted for you already, right? We did that just as a time saver. It's easy for us to paint 30 at a time because otherwise you'd have to paint the back, wait for it to dry before you could flip it over and paint the front, and I'd have to send a ton more paint with you. So, back's already done. We're gonna start by doing this whole round gray. And actually, I'm gonna start by pulling my wet hair back out of my way. All right, so we're gonna paint this gray. Depending on what I had in stock at the time, you either got a small bottle of gray paint, I don't have a small, but you got a small bottle of gray paint. It's called Rainy Day Gray. Or you got 3 paint packs of it. It just depends. I had trouble finding enough of the single bottles to give everybody one. So then we did paint packs for some of them. I hope you guys are loving our new way. This is your first time, you don't know this is new, but this is now how I'm shipping the paint. We fill these up. We heat seal them at the bottom. I am hoping that we don't have any more exploded paint, right? That sounds like a good plan, and nobody needs some exploded paint. So if you've got the grays in your little pouch, you're gonna go ahead and open one up. They'll tear open, but if you wanna cut it too, you could cut it just so you get a little closer to the top where the paint is. You know, squeeze it out like a little ketchup packet of paint. And we are gonna start off with our big brush. All right, so just squeeze it on there. I spilled a little bit of leftover coffee on mine as I was getting out of the truck this evening. Isn't that nice? So just squeeze yourself a little gray paint. And then you're gonna start spreading the paint out. We're gonna end up with 2 coats. So you don't need to make it real thick because we're gonna come back and second coat it. If you've got another brush, obviously, like if you paint a bunch yourself, it's not like you have to use my stuff, but if you don't, you can save it and use it for another product since all of my kits come with the brushes and sponges and all of that you need. If this is your first time, you will notice that the lines that are so beautifully etched in here, you are covering them all up. Don't worry, they will still show through when you're done painting. It's not going to show through like it does here, but you don't want it to be that dark. You just need to be able to see it just barely. So once it dries, I promise you, you will still be able to see them, or enough of them to be able to line it up. So it was kind of like a fine, like trial and error when I first started making these, to like find the right setting to etch the outline, but to not overdo it, but also not to make it too light. All right, so if you've got your bottle, add yourself some more gray, or open up another little ketchup packet if needed. If you ever have any issues with the craft kit, paint exploded, not enough paint, and broken piece, any of that, we obviously will handle it and replace it. And I want to know too for future reference so I can make it better. So I think some people had like some exploded little paint cups the first couple months, and they didn't tell me until a few months later when it kind of came up. But even if it explodes, but you have enough you can kind of scrape out and use it, still let me know, because I want to make sure that we're doing the best we can on my end. I think the dog's here, somebody. Any of y'all have dogs at home painting with you tonight? If you are new to the group, and there are a lot of y'all that are new to the group, it has grown over the last few shows. I've been able to meet some awesome DIY divas in person, and y'all have followed up and joined the group, and I super appreciate y'all joining us. So if you're new, you might not know that just how much I love my dogs. Well, really any dogs, just about any dog, but especially my dogs. One of them may be making a cameo at some point if they decide to come say hello. They are both rescues of different sorts. One was from Angels Among Us Pet Rescue. We actually were fostering some dogs for a while. Her name's Savannah. We fostered her. We were supposed to find her a family, and we did our own. She's our little rat terrier mutt. We actually, funny story, we had fostered a couple dogs, found them families, hard to get rid of, you know, a dog that you foster. And so my husband says, you know, big bearded, tough looking guy, right? Says to me, well, why don't we foster a little dog? Because the guy will never fall in love with a little dog. That'll be easy to get rid of because little dogs are annoying. This was his comment. So we did. We fostered a little 12-pound black rat terrier with these ears way too big for her head. Well, wouldn't you know, about a week in, just like a week, maybe 8 days, my husband says to me, I think we should keep her. He just fell head over heels for this little dog. And to this day, still loves the heck out of this little dog. She's not annoying as some little dogs, but she certainly has her moments. So that's how we ended up with her. Because we were supposed to be fostering her and finding her a family. And instead, we adopted her ourselves. And then the other one, Jeffy. I'm lifting up and doing the edges now. Sorry. Sometimes I forget to kind of let y'all know what I'm doing. So I'm just coming right around the edges here. But yeah, Jeffy was found on the side of the road by a guy who worked for my husband, but also his family is friends with our family. And he had him for a little while, but then moved. He was a young guy, so, you know, it's just kind of hard when you've got, you know, when you're younger and you've got kind of a life that's changing a lot more, right? So he couldn't keep Jeff, but I can't help but call him Jeffy. So we told him we would keep him for a little while he figured out if he was going to be able to make it work and that sort of thing. So turned out that he wasn't going to be able to make it work, and we fell in love with Jeffy, and he is now our other dog. He was our third when we got him, but our Gibson buddy has since passed away. And it turns out, although Jeff was found on the side of the road and totally a rescue dog, we did one of those DNA things. It's a Christmas present one year from my husband to me. It's doggy DNAs. Turns out this little side of the road dog is 100% boxer. He doesn't look like a traditional boxer because he doesn't have the clipped ears and cropped tail and stuff that you kind of associate with that boxer look, but he's beautiful and we love him. And he's just about the sweetest dog ever. I can't tell you how many people have been like, something ever happens to you, we call dibs on Jeffy. There's a line. All right, Leanne and Janet, I hope y'all are doing well. Always stop me and ask me if you have a question. Sometimes I just start yapping and don't mention what I'm doing or what's going on or blah, blah, blah. So stop me, ask if you got a question. Or if you're watching later, because I know not everybody can get on a random Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. You can still post a question in the comments. I'll get a notification. I'll try to follow up as quickly as possible. All right, so my first coat is looking pretty good. I think I'd like to let it dry a little bit more before I go for the second coat. I don't want to wait too long because then I want to make sure the second coat's got long enough to dry so we can glue stuff on. I'd like to try to glue stuff on before the end of our live paint tonight. So move you around. I'm just going to put it on my chair here. Oh, there's a little Savannah. See a little black dog in the corner over there. Hey, Savannah. Hey, sweet girl. All right, so let's go ahead. Hey, sweet girl. The green takes quite a few coats, and the white can take quite a few coats. So things that we're going to paint green or white, we'll start out with first. The eyeballs and the hay are going to be black. The ghost is going to be white. And then you can do any sort of combination of letters. Hang on just a second. I got them switched. This is the order. The one with the little point for the ghost here goes on the end. All right, so that's the order of the letters. So we've changed it up because I don't remember how we did it the first time around, but you're gonna have purple, orange, and green, or green, orange, and purple, or green, purple, orange, or whatever you wanna do. Or you could even make the hay green and mix a black in here for one of these letters. But I'm gonna do the hay and the eyeballs black. I'm gonna do the ghost white. And then I think I'm gonna do purple, orange, green. That's what I feel like. So you pick, you do what you wanna do, because it's yours. All right, let me move those out of the way. So you're gonna open up your little packet of white paint. You want a paper plate, styrofoam plate, just something scrap that you can pour it out and dab in. Or if you just cut a small little hole, you can kind of squeeze it on as needed if you don't want to use a paint plate, right? Obviously this is not white, but I just brought one to use as my example of our cool little paint pouches. So get out your white and one of your sponges so we can paint our ghost. I'm so excited about this. You know, I used to not do much Halloween decor because I really wasn't, genuinely, I was not aware of just how many people like decorating for Halloween. And the more I've done Julie's Woodcrafts, the more I've realized like there are a lot of y'all that really love some Halloween. And although I don't really decorate for Halloween, I do fall and then Christmas. I love making some Halloween stuff. I love this Hey Boo. I think it's adorable. We've done some trick-or-treat hats, and the cauldron's been super popular. The one that says it's all a bunch of hocus pocus. All right, grab your sponge, and I'm gonna use the fat end since we're trying to have a decent amount of coverage here. And we're just going to smush the paint on. All right, if this is your first time with me, the way you keep these edges looking nice and crisp black, always paint to them, right? Like going out of the figure. Don't come from outside to the center of the ghost, because all that extra paint on the end there is going to catch on the edge and it's going to make it white. So if you want to try to, just make sure you're conscious of not rubbing against that outside edge and scraping paint on it. And that way we'll keep this nice dark burned edge which is what happens when you laser cut something, because the laser is just, you know, burning through the wood. That's how it cuts it. So, and I always go back over it a few times because I like to make sure I've like smoothed out my paint lines. And again, when you're up here, just be conscious of not trying to push paint onto the edges, right? So you're just kind of carefully going around the eyes here, and that'll keep our edges nice and crisp black. But it's gonna take a couple coats with the white, probably 3. Right, so there's my first coat. And set my little sponge down. All right, what do we think about that? A little better view, maybe. All right, so I'm gonna set our ghost down, let him dry some. I'm gonna go back and take a look at my round, see what I think. Still a little bit damp in some spots. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the first coat of green on this O that I decided to make green. So open your green packet. And squeeze some on there. Again, you're gonna use another one of your sponges. You can use the skinny end if you want. There's a little bit less space to cover, but I'm still gonna use the fat end. But you'll see when it first goes on, it's a somewhat light, like see-through color. So we definitely need at least 3 coats of the green, because I like that green to be nice and bright. And again, I'm just trying to be careful to not go against the edges, but with them or towards them, you know, so that I'm not gooping up green paint on the edges. If it happens, it's not the end of the world. Let's see, just did it. So I'm gonna wipe that off with my finger. And it's mostly gone, just like that. And get yourself a paper towel or something and wipe it off on. And honestly, most of the time, you're the only person that notices that stuff. Once you hang it on your door, it's gonna look great. Or if you have someone that comes to your house and points out a mistake on your door hanger that you painted, here's something to know. You don't need that person in your life. That's not nice. If you ain't got nothing nice to say about my door hanger, you don't need to be coming through that door. That is my opinion. So if somebody does say something about the door hanger you painted, ain't got time for that. That's not nice. All we got time for is nice here. Ain't got nothing to say that's nice? Don't say nothing at all. Worked in kindergarten, and it's still a good rule. All right. I'm going to stop there with the green. You can tell it is definitely going to need some more coats. Like I can still see the grain of the wood through it. But I'm going to take a quick second and check back on my round. It's a little damp in some areas, but I feel like we're ready for a second coat because it's not very damp at all. So I'm going to move these. Just do another rearrange in here. And I'm going to go ahead and do the second coat just because I'm wanting this to dry as quick as possible, because I've got a goal to do our paint live in like an hour to an hour and 20 minutes. Granted, I started 10 minutes late, but in order for that to happen, this needs to be dry enough so that we can glue stuff on at the end. So I've kind of got an end goal in mind here, right, with my planning. But if you're not ready to put your second coat on, then you can go ahead and put another coat on your green, another coat on white, and you come back and do the gray when I'm doing more on the green and white. Oh wait, I'm just gonna squeeze it on here. That would be totally fine. I just know with these paint lives, it's not like y'all want me on here yapping at you for like 3 hours. Besides, I mean, I get tired of listening to myself after that long. So, my goal has been to like try to make them in an hour to an hour and 20, maybe an hour and a half. Plus, that's kind of the fun part of this craft, right? I mean, if the craft takes you too long, you're like, all right, takes too long, not as much fun. Right? You want to DIY it, you just don't need it to take your whole night. You got stuff to do, right? I still got dinner to cook. I don't know about y'all. You guys have dinner already? What'd you have for dinner? Anything great? We're doing tacos, you know, because it's Tuesday and we're basic like that. Anybody else? Anybody else doing the Taco Tuesday? Remember I told you, don't worry that it looks like you're covering up the lines. I promise you it will dry and you will still see them. So don't stress. I had a customer, I can't remember who it was, message me. She was like, oh, it has these great lines, but I didn't know, they're going to go away when I paint them. What do I do? And I was like, I promise you, they won't go away. You'll still see them. There we go. Is that a bug? Ooh, get, oh shoot, messed up my ghost. Y'all, there's a bug on my door. Get. I think I caught him. Shoot, I probably squished him into the wet paint. Y'all know my life is a hot mess, right? I mean, if you're new, you're just now realizing that, but I don't know where that bug came from, but he had to go. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, I'm going to be all over the place tonight, just a heads up, that our DIY Divas group has grown so much. We have over 800 members. Super excited about it. So many people have joined, like, that I've talked to at recent shows, and then I see their, you know, requests, like, from that area, right? So I had a lot of people from the Irwin, Tennessee, or, like, the East Tennessee area from this past weekend. Ton of people request. If that's one of you, let me know you're one of my East Tennessee newbies, because I was so excited with the reception we got there. I mean, I always love the Apple Festival in Irwin. It's always good people, just plenty of space to set up, busy, good food, fried apple pies. I always have great vendor neighbors. There's a LuLaRoe girl that sells behind us. She's awesome. So I always enjoy that. But it seemed like this year, I just met a lot more of like my people, you know, like my DIYers that like saw the stuff. And I'm like, well, this is the kit so you can make it yourself. And instead of going, ugh, they were like, really? To make it myself? Awesome. You know, which those are my people. Obviously we make stuff painted. Helps you to see something painted if you want to make an unpainted one yourself. But we'll sell the painted stuff too. I'm not trying to exclude those people. But let's, you know, be honest, like my core people are my DIYers. And I like to make it easy for you to have a little fun, relaxation, maybe fun with a friend or relax at night. And just do a little DIY. And so I really met like a lot of my people in Irwin. That was awesome. Also, the Rose Lawn Festival a couple weeks ago in Cartersville, I met a lot of great people. I am moving this because I am done with my second coat. I'm gonna let it dry some more. I think I'm gonna turn the fan on in my kitchen to give us a little airflow in here for it. And then we're gonna work on second coats on my Ghost. I messed up by trying to smash the bug and our green. We won't need to use this again. I mean, unless for some reason you're thinking you need a third coat. So if you want to reuse it, stick it in some water. I got a cup of water over here. Not my drinking water. Alright, I'm going to kick on my kitchen fan here. Help my little round dry there. Good dog. Hey, buddy. Hey, Jeff. I don't think we can see your nose on the camera. All right, watch out. You knock everything over, big guy. He's like 75 pounds. Oh, okay. So we're going to grab out our sponges, and I'm going to work on my green and then the white. And then while these coats are drying, we'll move on. Hey, Savannah. Hey, girl. I forgot to feed y'all dinner, didn't I? I just thought about that. Got a little bit on the edge again. Wipe it off. It'll usually come off pretty quick. Like it'll come off if you wipe it pretty quick. I just love this green. It's called apple green though, which I feel like, I don't know what apples they're eating that are this electric green. It's like some GMO kind of stuff. But I do love the color. All right, now on our white Ghost. Ready for another coat. Actually might only need 2 coats of the white. This white's covering pretty well. The green I'm definitely going to want a 3rd coat because I want that to be like really solid, really pop. All right, let those dry for a little bit, and let's move on to purple. I like some purple. Let's do some purple. I'm gonna make my B purple. You can make whichever letter you want purple. This is the purple you got in your little paint pouches. It is called purple. That's it. No kind of special name, but purple. You've got 5 sponges, or you should have 5 sponges, if we can count correctly. So one of them is going to need to get the skinny end used for the glue at the end, whichever one dries out first, I guess. So just as a heads up, one of these is going to get reused. All right, so I'm going to use the fat end for our purple. For our purple bee. Oh, it is dark out now. Man, that's one of the things you have to get used to with fall, right? Getting darker earlier, and I swear in fall it goes from light to dark in like 30 minutes. It's not like the summer where you feel like the day just hangs on, right? So it was definitely still light out when we started. A little overcast and dreary. I don't know about where y'all are, but it's been a little dreary today. It's kind of rained off and on. But it was nice weather, like nice temperature. All right, there is my first coat. I like to go back over it just a couple times so I smooth it out so I don't have any kind of globs or anything. All right, I'm gonna leave my purple there at its spot. Definitely looks kind of blue in the light in the camera. What? Why are you making noises? See if I can get my laptop back up. Decided to go to a, probably just because I hadn't touched it in a minute, went to a, what do you call those screens? Screensaver. That's it. All right, some pumpkin orange, or actually it's just called pumpkin. The orange is implied. All right. There we go. And we're back. I just want to make sure we don't ever have any issues with the video freezing or anything like that. Yep, there we go. We're up. We're up. All right. So now for orange. Which I chose to do my middle O orange. If you happen to miss out on the craft kit of the month, you can still grab the unpainted Hey Boo door hanger from our website. It just won't include all the supplies and the paint, so you would have to grab those yourself. I do actually have, I think I'm down to like 2 left of the monthly craft kit with paint and supplies and all that, because we just overmade. Sometimes that happens when we're getting a lot of orders, and I was trying to be real quick with this, like I wanted a quick turnaround. So I just started making them with like expected orders coming in. So I think I just had a few extra that I didn't get orders for. So if you have a friend who wants one or something, let me know. We could get you one out with supplies still. All right, now for the black, because I don't feel like my green's ready for its 3rd coat yet. So skinny end of this one. And we are just making our eyeballs for the ghost black. When we're making a lot of these at a time, so like a few weeks ago when we were trying to get ahead of things, and we made a lot of painted hay boos for me to take to stores and shows, we would spray paint the hay and the eyeballs black, and we'd spray paint the ghost white. But we couldn't find a good green spray paint that we liked. So that one was always hand painted. But when we're doing a lot at a time, we try to spray paint. It's just like an efficiency thing. So I know some of y'all ask, like, what do we recommend? And I typically say spray paint or craft paint. You pick with how efficient you want to be. For one person, getting this many cans of spray paint, if you don't already owe them, wouldn't be the best thing. So if you're just making one for yourself, sometimes craft paint's worth it. But if you get like one of my big letter door hangers, like a pumpkin or a fancy frame or circle or a mason jar, and you're wanting that whole big thing to be one solid color, that makes sense to get some spray paint. So it depends on the project, but those are our two main things. Is going to be spray paint and craft paint. On occasion, we use some like wall paint, like I use an exterior grade satin wall paint. Actually that's what's used on the back of all these door hangers, because we had a whole bunch to do at one time. So one of the Julie's Woodcrafts employees, he painted the back of all of them with a roller. And like an outdoor house paint that I use that's color matched to the gray that we used on the front. So on occasion we do use like exterior paint. If we're doing a lot of the states with the words on them, like the state, like it says Go Dogs, or the state Alabama that says Roll Tide, and we're doing a lot of those, sometimes we'll roll on like a whole bunch of Georgias and make them all red. So it just kind of depends, like the space that we have too. Like Gloria, who does a ton of our painting, if she is busy in our paint booth with the spray paints, then the other person who I have who's been painting for me some and helping pack up all your awesome craft kits and cut the ribbon, and he'll roll on sometimes because, Gloria's busy over there in the paint booth, and our paint booth is not big enough to be doing a whole bunch of things. You only really do about 2 or 3 things in the paint booth at a time. So sometimes we'll roll on. Those are the 3 kind of paints we use, but craft paint and spray paint most often. With the black, as long as you cover well the first time, lots of times I don't need a second coat. But let's set that to the side. Let me check the eyeballs, make sure I got all the spots. The eyeballs are black. All right, what are we ready to put another coat on? My purple could use another coat. I put my green on a little bit thick, so it's still wet in a few spots. Pretty happy with the ghost. I might put another coat. I'm gonna do the purple because I went kind of thin the first time around, so it's pretty dry by now. So yeah, we're just second and third coat and stuff now. So whatever is ready for your next coat, go ahead and grab that. And if you got a fan in the room where you're painting, turn it on. Help get this stuff dry, possibly, so we can glue it all on by the end of our live paint. Just not sure if it's gonna happen. But the gluing on is the easiest part. I know some of y'all were worried about the bow. They're like, you just gave us ribbon. You did not give us a bow, Julie. I know. I will help you make the bow. Even if that means you got to rewind the video back. I know. Nobody rewinds things anymore. It's not 1992. But you are going to rewind the video back and watch it a couple of times if you need to when it's all done and loaded on the page. That is okay. Not everybody is inherently a bow maker, but with some practice, you're going to be able to make a bow, I promise you. And it's an easy style bow, I think. And it's wired ribbon, so you just kind of like move around, fluff it up, and you'll be able to do the bow. I'm not trying to stress you about it before it even happened. All right, so what am I going to do next? Orange or green? I'm thinking this orange or the green. I'm going to do the orange. Looks ready for its next coat. So we leave Thursday morning, and when I say we this time, I mean my husband Keith and I. Normally Meredith and I do shows, but every now and then my husband will do a show with me. We kind of pick and choose which shows he comes to with me. There we go. And so he's going to be coming to the one this weekend with me. It is in Summerville, South Carolina, which is right outside Charleston. Normally, it is a spring show. It's called the Flowertown Festival. Normally, it's in April. But they rescheduled this year, and now it's in October. But it's always an amazing show. Big crowds, great customers, great people. Definitely a South Carolina loving crowd. So I always try to bring some South Carolina themed door hangers or wall signs. Like I'll do my home sign with the shape of South Carolina for the O, and I'll do things for Clemson and College of Charleston because we're right there, and USC, and then just some general South Carolina with the palmetto tree and the moon, you know. So I'll have some stuff for our South Carolina people this weekend, but it's a long show. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we leave Thursday morning to drive all the way out there and then set up Thursday afternoon. We have to be there in the afternoon to set up Thursday for the show Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But in the evenings, we take a little time and get to go to Charleston, and we found this little brewery in downtown Summerville we like, and our favorite restaurant in Charleston is called Fleet Landing, so we already got ourselves a reservation for Saturday night at Fleet Landing. I don't know if y'all have been to Charleston before. If anybody's been to Fleet Landing, it is on the water. Some great food. If you go during the day, and depending on the time of year, you know, you can see different wildlife out too in the water. We saw a manatee there once, which was really cool. When I went with, when we saw the manatee, I was there with my mom and my aunt. I took them to Charleston one time. Needed a little more green. So we'll do that one night. We'll go to our favorite restaurant. Oh, and then there's this newer, just like in the last few years. I'm not exactly sure, but it's called Carmela's, and it's in the little like old downtown Charleston, and it's a dessert bar. Oh, some amazing desserts, and then like fabulous like dessert drinks like chocolate martinis and stuff like that. We are going to be there one night for sure. So that's part of the reason my husband comes to this show with me, because we just love Charleston and we've got our favorite spots there. There's a place we love for brunch, but we won't be able to go to brunch while we're there for the show because we'll be working at brunch time. But there's a place called Poogan's Porch. Poogan was a dog they named it after, I'm pretty sure, if I remember the story correctly. All right. So Yeah, we love Charleston. So that is why my husband is coming to the Somerville show with me, Flower Town Festival this weekend. If any of y'all are anywhere near Somerville, and I know I've got some previous customers from there, I ship a lot to that area. When I'm shipping out orders, I see that area and the area around Greenville and Anderson, South Carolina too, because I do shows there. So I've got some customers there. I ship a lot to that area of South Carolina. But definitely, if you're anywhere close to Somerville, come Friday, Saturday, or Sunday to the Flower Town Festival in Somerville, South Carolina this weekend. I'm just about done with second coats, or third coats in the case of the green and the white. And then we can check our black hay and the eyeballs, see if they need a second coat, but usually the black's okay without it. All right. My ghost is definitely like a bright, solid white like I wanted him. I think the green's good. I think my orange is going to be good. I think I'm happy with the coverage on the purple too. So, I mean, obviously it's your hay boo. You decide if you need some other coats. I can still see the wood grain through here, but it's black, but you can see the wood grain. I mean, that doesn't bother me. But if you want it a little, thicker, you can put another coat of the black on, but I'm okay with it. Not that you can tell from there, but I'm okay with it as is. So all of those are painted. Do I have anything else to paint? Nope. I think we're good on painted stuff. All right, you'll want to let one of these, like I use the skinny end on that for the black. So I'm gonna let this one dry out because I'm gonna use the other end of it to be for my glue, right? Just trying to reuse some things so we're not being wasteful. All right, I'm going to move some of these because I don't want to get my ribbon in the paint on these. So I'm just giving myself a little space because now we come to the bow part of the evening. All right, I'm gonna get that out of the way too. I just have an old sheet I'm using for my tablecloth, so I'm gonna paint everywhere. You're gonna need your pipe cleaner and your 2 pieces of ribbon. All right, and a pair of scissors. Grab a pair of scissors. All right, ready for this? You ready for the bow? We can do it, right? We're ready for the bow. All right, grab the long piece. Positive thinking, people. All right, grab your long piece. Just kind of straighten it out a little bit. Might be folded some because that's how we had to put them in the box. All right, so grab one of the ends. See how I'm holding it? All right. You are gonna roll this first part around and create a loop. This is gonna be the center of the bow. I'm just watching this first part of the video to make sure I'm showing you well. Yep. Excuse me. All right, so you're holding that and then pinch it together. And you're gonna pinch it between your thumb and forefinger. I do that with my left hand, I think. Wait, no, do this with my right hand. I do it without thinking, let's be honest. So I'm gonna pinch it with my thumb and my forefinger, right? You can see how I'm holding that there. okay? You're going to be continuing to pinch it the whole time. Then I need to do a twist. I'm gonna twist here, and I try to twist so it's kind of in the area that I was pinching, so that that twist is in between now where I was pinching, right? The twist is so we can get the pretty side of the ribbon out. All right, create a loop, not too big because of the amount of ribbon you have. All right, and I'm just pinching in the middle here. I just fiddle. So I'm not doing anything special. I'm just pinching and trying to be slow about it, right? So you've got an opportunity. Okay, so we need to twist again. So I'm gonna twist again, just like that, while I'm still pinching in the middle so that the twist is right there in the pinch. All right? You don't do this a lot. At some point, your thumb or forefinger is gonna get a little sore from pinching. I do this all the time, so. All right, you're gonna create a second loop, and you want it to look about the same size as the other loop, and add that, right, like kind of smush it down, add it to your pinch. Okay, so I'm still pinching. Those look about the same size. All right, if something happens and you accidentally let it all go, it's all right. Start over, no biggie. All right, we need to twist again. All right, so back here, see I'm still pinching, except for now I guess it's my second finger instead of my pointer. All right, still pinching. Twist right there, and just kind of tuck the twist so that all your twists are in the center where you're pinching. All right, now this one, we wanted to twist it so it points out a little, right? So that the two are not pointing the same exact direction. All right, that's how we get a little kind of width in our bow. See, look, we're almost there. All right, one more pinch. Does your thumb hurt yet? Because you're not used to holding it like this. All right, I'm gonna twist again. And I'm gonna try to kind of put the twist again under where I'm pinching. And I'm gonna angle it out, right? When I do that twist, I'm gonna twist it so that it points that out. And then the last, shove that down and add it to your pinch. So that now everything's pinched in the middle. I have a little extra, we'll cut that off. If for some reason you did it and you don't have enough, you made your loops too big, I'm sorry to tell you that you're gonna have to start over and make your loops a little smaller. All right, now, still pinching, I'm gonna take my pipe cleaner right through this very first center loop we created, right? So it's going through there. And I keep trying to kind of pinch, right? Hold the pipe cleaner there. Flip it over. And this pipe cleaner, we are going to twist, right? So crossed over each other. Pull it a little tight, like you're tying a knot, and then twist. And that secures it. It is secured. All right, you might think it looks a little jacked up. It does. That's okay, because I got you wired ribbon, because it's the best thing in the crafting world, because you just pull and tug and fluff and pinch here or smush there or do whatever you need to do. Do a little extra twist in some spot, like right, so if it didn't get twisted enough and you need to come back and add a twist, and you're going to have yourself a bow. All right, so you can mess with it. Make it cute. If you want to cut off that little extra, you can. That's where I said you might need some scissors. All right, and the other thing you need the scissors for is this is going to be our tails. I always like the tails to have a cute little V in the end. So take those, fold it in half. Line up here, right? So it's straight. And you're going to cut this way. right? You're cutting into the ribbon so that when you open it up, voila, there you are. Look at that, so cute. All right, same thing on the other end. Fold it over. Line up your sides here. All right, we're gonna cut into the ribbon. We're gonna cut across this way. From the bottom right corner, I am cutting back to the top left. There we go. And adorable. All right, so take this, pinch in the middle. You're gonna fold it down, right? So that these, so that they're even on both sides. You just got yourself a little pinch, right? So I just found the middle, pinched and folded over. All right? Now on the back of your bow, you're gonna put these tails so that the pipe cleaner can run right in between the tails. And you're gonna smush it down, cross the pipe cleaners again, and then twist them. Another half turn because it's gonna be that way it's just tightened around it. Fluff again if you need to. And there is your adorable bow. Let me tell you the trick that I think a lot of people don't realize is that I do the loops and the tails separate, right? You got two pieces of ribbon, you did them separately. I never bother with trying to make it all one piece of ribbon. Nobody knows. Why do they care? Nobody cares if it's one piece of ribbon or not. That's the easiest way to do it. I do the loops, twist it, and then I add the tails. Done. Beautiful. Fabulous. That is going to go on our Hey Boo door hanger. All right, are we ready to glue on? That's all I have left, right? Oh, you got some jute. I forgot to bring some home. It's a thick, twine kind of ribbon. Your jute is going to tie through your holes. You're just gonna kind of want to twist the ends of the jute when you push them through here. So you'll push the two ends through there, and then you'll tie them in a knot on the back so that you will have a loop to hang your door hanger from. I just forgot to bring mine home. But put the jute through first before we try to put the bow on, because it's hard to get the jute through if you've already got the pipe cleaner going through one of the holes. So put your jute on, stick it through the holes in the front, double knot it in the back there. So you can go ahead and have your jute. You can do that now or later. I'm gonna glue on, although this is pretty much dry. Like my ghost looks still a little damp. So I'm gonna be careful, but I really love this door hanger and super duper wanna finish it right now. So, I'm just gonna start gluing stuff on and just be careful when I push it down. So I'm gonna put my hay on first. So hopefully y'all see that it was okay to trust me. I told you you'd still be able to see your lines. Obviously not as dark as they were before, but you can still see your lines. So you just need a good overhead light to help you line them up. I'm sitting in my kitchen, so I got a good light here. And you have a glue packet, so open your glue packet. Shoot, I need to open my glue. And I am having trouble. Oh man, usually I can always pop it open. All right, get out your glue. Go ahead, class. Keep going. I'll catch up. Aha! Success! All right, so you've got your little glue pouch. Squeeze it out on, look at me. I took up all that space. I need a new space to put my glue. Now, if you cut a really tiny hole in the end of that pouch, okay, so if you cut a really tiny hole in the end of the glue pouch, not that this is glue, this is purple paint, right? But any corner, like pin size, a little bigger than a pin size, you could actually use it to squeeze glue out on the back of here. But you need to cut a very tiny hole. And the other option is just to squeeze the glue out, like I'm doing here, and then use your sponge. But even if you do cut a tiny little hole and you squeeze it out, I'd still recommend you take a sponge and kind of spread it out a little bit. Just because if you even get a little bit bigger glob than you mean to, you're going to put it down, it's just smush out. I hate that. I hate smushed out glue. It's one of my pet peeves. All right, so I'm getting mine on my little sponge here and just dabbing it all over, but no globs. All very much just like a thin, flat layer of glue. All right, so I just keep coming back, get a little more, dab it on, a little more. Because I don't ever want to put a ton on my sponge, because if I put a lot on my sponge, then I'm going to end up with a ton of paint here. Glue. And then I'm going to squish it out, and I'm going to be all kinds of mad. All right, so that I have glue all over, and it's hard to tell. I mean, I can't even, show you. You're not going to be able to see anything, but if you're doing it, it's got a real thin layer. I dabbed it everywhere, so I know it's everywhere. And if you want to line it up really carefully, I kind of stand up and look over to make sure I'm getting it in the lines here. So I hold it over where I think it's going to go, and then drop it into place. And then I just push down around the edges, especially if it's still wet. Be very careful about pushing down. But you want to make sure that it makes like a good suction, that glue is stuck to the door hanger. We don't want any pieces kind of lifting off. So that looks fabulous. All right, I'm going to do my ghost next. So my ghost has a huge surface area, right, compared to the hay. So you can get a little more globby with it in the middle. But once you start getting anywhere close to the edge or up near the eyes, I do not want to be globby with it at all. I want a smooth layer. Get it to all the little pointy ends. There we go. Time for the ghost. Oh, we had a couple more people join us here for the best part. We're putting it all together. Oh, shoot, I dropped it. Okay, that, my friends, is why I love wood glue. I think my husband's home. Let me go turn the porch light on for him. You too, Savannah? All right, go on the back porch. There you go. Good. Not that I'd use to lock them out there. Okay, so what I was saying was that was the reason I love wood glue. I dropped it, and I was able to pick it up and reposition it. Some people like to use some other glues, like super glue types, and those always just make me nervous because I don't trust myself enough that I'm not going to screw something up. So I like that wood glue gives you a little bit of time. Like, it's not going to set for, 5 to 15 minutes, depending on how much you put and your conditions and all of that. All right, let's do our bee. Don't you just love the chorus in the background? Hey, hon.
Still on?
I am. I'm almost done, but the dogs are welcoming you home. All right. let's glue our bee on.
I'm gonna let them in.
Yeah. So excited to see you.
Okay. Come here. Come here.
All right. My bee was pretty dry because I used purple on it, and that purple I only needed a couple coats. So just be careful as you're holding it. Like if the other side is still wet, obviously be careful about where you place your fingers. And if you do get wet paint on your fingers, make sure you wipe it off before you go touching the next one so you don't transfer it. I speak from experience. I have done that plenty of times. And then you got to repaint, like touch up. All right, so this is how our bee goes. Fits in here. And it should line up with our little outlines there. Push it down to make sure it's like suctioned down to the door hanger. That's made a good connection there. So the glue, and then always just go back and double check like the edges of my hay and my ghost just to make sure they're stuck down. All right, orange O. Oh, I'm loving that I picked my orange O for the middle now because my orange bow is going to be up there in the middle. I don't know why that matters, but it's making me feel like I made a good choice. Notice I am going all over this O. I mean, you want glue everywhere. All right, should fit right up with the bottom of the Y and against the other B. Plus you've got the outlines too to help you. Here we go. And then just kind of around the edges carefully because my paint's still a tiny bit wet. Just kind of around the edges, pushing it down. Make sure it's got a good connection there. And then now for my green. Oh, yay, we're almost done. It looks so cool. Looks so cool. I hope you guys are feeling the same kind of excitement as I am about finishing yours. Super excited to get this one on my door. 2 months ago we did the Hello Pumpkin door hanger with the 3 little pumpkins across the bottom. I made that one and that's on my mom and dad's door. So, I mean, obviously I could make another one. I kind of do this every day, but, so all that's on my door is just my big circle W. So I think this one, since my parents got the Hello Pumpkin, they can keep that up. I'm gonna put this Hey Boo up on my door. All right. And it fits around the little ghost there. And then just press it down around the edges. And if it wants to pop up in some place, you just kind of hold it down for a minute. If you really need to, you can put something on it and put a weight on it, but that's no good right now because my paint's still damp. So I'm just gonna kind of hold it down. You just need to give that wood glue, 30 seconds, a minute to like, just kind of suction down. So I'm just gonna kind of like right here at the top of my O wants to pop up a little. So I'm gonna give it a good hold here a minute. I just love these colors. Oh, the eyeballs. I almost said we were done. Forgot our ghost eyeballs. All right, let's put our eyeballs in. One of the eyeballs is a little bigger than the other. So, just have to make it fit. go. Let me drop the other one in. You can put a little bit of extra glue on these because if it squishes out, nobody's gonna know because it's, you know, inside the ghost there. Inside the little ghost eyes. Yay! Ah, done! Except for my bow. Everything needs a bow. Am I right? And you are going to put your jute on. Put your jute on first. Then you're going to take your pipe cleaner. Stick it through one of the holes there. Alright, so just one side of my pipe cleaner. I stick through the hole there. The other side's going to come over the top. Alright, so the one that's coming through the hole, I'm going to pull that tight. And then I'm going to wrap this over and down, keeping it pulled tight and just doing a couple twists. And then lay it flat. And flip it back over and fluff your bow. Always, always, people, fluff your bow. Look, it's done. I love it. I hope you guys love yours. Got your little jute. We're going to hang it on the door. Oh, we did use craft paints. So if your door gets weather, you will want to get some clear coat, like Rust-Oleum 2X clear, any sort of like spray clear, polyacrylic. If you want to brush it on, you can brush on the clear. But you'll want to put a clear coat if your door gets some weather. I got a porch, like a big porch. It's like 8 foot deep or something. So I don't have to worry about that. Mine's not going to be getting rain or anything. And if you want it to be glossy, put a gloss coat. If you like a kind of satin or matte or flat finish, you can do the matte or the satin clear. So totally up to you. But that's it. We're done. Yay, Leanne. I'm glad you guys finished yours. I hope your mom and daughter enjoyed it. Yay. I just love this one. I will release next month's on the 20th, but I'm going to give y'all a little preview next week about what it is, what next month's craft kit of the month is. So just make sure you're staying up to date with the DIY Divas Facebook group where we are now. Yay, Janet, you too. Yeah, totally post pictures with it or on your door, or like with Leanne who did hers with somebody else, you know, you can post pictures together with it. I love it. I hope y'all love it too. And this is the fun of my craft kits. You get everything you need. You sit down and one night you do it all. A ton of other DIY kits that don't come with the supplies. So if you start, you know, where you've got some paint and brushes and things like that, you can always order one of those. But it's a little more work on your end, right, to get the paint and things like that. But the craft kit of the month, man, you get everything you need. I love that you guys are loving it. I'm having a blast with this. I really am. And I'm so, so grateful that I get to do something I love, which is create this stuff and kind of cultivate this like cool DIY community. Just to like have some happiness, you know, spread a little joy. Crafting's better than therapy, cheaper at least for sure. So I'm just loving it. I'm blessed that I get to do it, and I appreciate y'all for loving it too. So cheers, a good night, and maybe I'll see y'all this weekend at the Flower Town Festival in South Carolina. Post your pictures. You guys are the best. Good night.